Yeah, I'd just like to take issue with Paul Mason's comments about right-wing Conservatives. I mean, you've got to remember that millions of people voted Conservative in the last election. It was quite clear in the manifesto there was going to be a referendum. And, you know, just to brand Conservatives generally, which I think it's about 10 million people, as crazed right-wingers, I mean, it's just appalling. And your comments about Toxteth, they're just so inflammatory. No, I mean, it's just appalling, the things you say.
Let me be clear about what I'm saying about the Conservatives. Let me be clear about what I'm saying about the Conservatives. We now know what a £35,000 a year in education at Eton buys you. It's the ability to stand up, slag off your opponent. If you're not winning the argument, start raising ludicrous points about the EU banning banana bunches more than 3. And if that doesn't work, you tussle your hair and you grin in a kind of inane manner. That, you know, if I'd paid £35,000 a year and sent somebody to Eton and they came out doing that, I'd be disgusted. You know, I think that the Tory right is...
Come on, Paul. What are we going to do? Less personal insults. Let's get with the arguments.
Well, I'm talking about Alexander Boris de Peffel Johnson, who has debased... he's debasing the rationality of this debate, and you should be very, very worried that this guy could be leading your party if he wins the referendum.
I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is these personal insults. Your focus here, and here you are, Paul, a brilliant man, and you're focusing on someone's education rather than the arguments for or against.
No, this is what John Major was saying. He was saying that the Tory right is adopting UKIP's argument, because this is what the Tories will become if this right-wing faction within it gets their way after the 23rd of June. It's this that frightens me above anything else, actually. Less than UKIP. UKIP is a known factor. We don't know what these guys will do if they take control of your party.
But how do you reconcile? It must be appalling for you, Paul. You long for Brexit and you don't dare vote for it.
We'll get another chance.
We'll get a chance. You are with Farage, that it'll come up again.
No,
you say you'll get another chance to vote.
I think that one of the things Boris Johnson... But one of the things Boris Johnson actually said before this all started was that he would like to have a referendum on the result of the negotiation. Now, I think that would be something that I think those of us who are worried about an uncontrolled right-wing Brexit would like to see. Okay. Well, why are you laughing? You could deliver it. You're in the government. You're a Privy Councillor.
I'm just amazed
you could decree it right now.
You're talking about individuals rather than the arguments. People want to know the facts. They want to know why...
There's a reason why you're straying away from Boris Johnson as an individual, because he might be your leader within 6 weeks' time.
All right. Eva Cooper, do you want to... You might be leading a party, not within 6 weeks' time, but within 6 months' time.
I think, the worrying thing about actually, I understand why Amber is saying she doesn't want it to be personal, because actually it does feel like it's become personal within the Tory party. And too much of this debate, I think, to be honest, has been Tory politicians having a go at each other. I think that's probably why we've not heard enough about things like workers' rights in Europe.
Okay.
And I think it's why, too, we haven't heard enough about things like jobs in manufacturing in our industrial towns and all of those sorts of things that are at stake. And I think, some sympathy with Paul's point here. You know, in the end, I don't really care if two old Etonians want to slug it out and have a duel over the future of the Tory party, but I do really care if they are putting people's jobs and people's livelihoods at risk over what is effectively a political game.
We've got another EU question which arises from this, which... Have you all had this booklet through? Yeah, we've all had it. And it comes from this, and the question's from Dominic St Louis. This is the Electoral Commission voting guide for the referendum. Dominic.
The Vote Remain campaign says that we receive £10 back for every pound we give to the EU. Vote Leave says that we pay £350 million per week and get half back. Who's right?
Right, so the Vote Remain, every pound we put in, we get £10 back. Vote Leave, put £350 in, and only get half of it back. So somebody's not telling the truth. Amber Rudd.
What Remain is doing is focusing on the benefits to the economy. So the fact that we have a single market, the fact that we get investment into the UK because we're part of a platform of access to the EU, which is what international investors say, it's working out the benefit, 10 to 1, of having that investment, having access to the single market. What the Leave are comparing it to is how much it costs, because they're simply looking at the bill for being a member of this club then they're netting off the rebate, which Margaret Thatcher got, and any other money that's the equivalent of what we get back, and they're looking at the cost there, and they're saying, this is the cost of your membership, and they're not looking at these enormous benefits we get from the single market.
And you think it can be costed £10 for every pound you put in? Is that accurate?
Yes,
What do you think, Paul?
I have spent, 20 years covering economics, and I've learned not to take account of these kind of figures, I'm afraid. They're pulled out of abstract thinking, equations that don't add up. In the end, people have to take this decision on the basis of not this mirage of facts that we keep getting. The media is bombarding us with facts, and the more we get, the less we understand. You've just got to take a decision on the basis of, do you believe in the institutions? I would say do you believe the institution is reformable? Can it deliver what you want as British people on the day, and then what the concrete consequence is on the day of the particular political leadership? To me, as I say, if it cost us double what it says in there, if it worked, it would be worth paying. My concern is that what you've got, one of the reasons the Tory right are so annoyed is because they're now getting the treatment that the Scots got during the independence referendum. They're getting the whole of the official state apparatus, the Bank of England, the Treasury, pumping out propaganda for Remain that has got no challengeability. They've got no ability, those who would like to see a different outcome, have got no ability to determine what the Treasury and the Bank of England are actually modelling.
OK, Tim Farron.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps asking for the facts.
Yeah.
Paul Mason says the facts pouring out, far too many, and they don't mean anything anyway.
Yeah, probably the only thing sort of more depressing about the referendum than the kind of blue-on-blue fist fight that there is between two old Etonian schoolmates is this complete constant trading of facts and figures and stats and so on. Doesn't mean they're not important. We've got to make a judgment as to what is the best interest of our country, best interest for us as individuals and as families. So there are some figures I think actually do stack up. The single market is worth £78 billion a year to the United Kingdom. We are net contributors to the European Union, it's true, to the tune of about £6.5 billion every year. You've got to work out whether that is a good deal. I think it's a good deal, but if I'm honest with you, what I am desperate for is something just a bit more uplifting in this debate. I think the reason why I will vote Remain on the 23rd of June is not just the economy, it's about a statement of what kind of country do I belong to? What kind of country is Britain? Are we an outward-looking country, or do we want to stand on the white cliffs of Dover, glowering in bad-tempered isolationism across the English Channel? I want Britain to be the kind of country that is engaged with the outside world. We have built a peace over the last 70 years. 25 years ago, 6 of the countries that are now in the European Union had nuclear weapons on their soil pointed at the West Midlands and the rest of the United Kingdom. Today we work together. That's the kind of Europe I want my children to grow into. That is why I'm voting Remain.
All right. A reminder that Dominic's question was about who we believe on the money. You, sir?
I think we need to get back to the basics of the discussion and really get to understand what this is about. This is not about personalities. No. It's about 2 basic things. Can we manage the country ourselves, or will we continue to be told from a group of 27 other countries what we can do, what we can't do, how we should do it, but we've got to foot the bill? Surely we could take the money back ourselves and make better use of it.
So you don't believe the figures on that?
That's a lot of nonsense. That's what I did.
I think independence is a really important question here. Sorry, I'm looking at it. It's a perfectly fair question, but I think it ignores the reality of the modern world. The European Union is not the only way in which we pool our sovereignty.
Okay.
We belong to the UN, to NATO, to the World Trade Organization. The most democratic of all those happens to be the European Union.
You, sir?
I think when we talk about the facts and figures in all these leaflets, it just shows I'm personally depressed by politics. I mean, the EU referendum has shown just how broken the system is. Within parties, you've got infighting, one set of parties saying one lot of figures. We're being lied to, and there's not a genuine debate. I think the EU referendum has shown us the ugliest side of where British politics is. It's all because there's no diversity. It's all the same people on either side of the chamber, to be honest.
Paul Nuttall. I will come to you now. Paul Nuttall.
To answer the original question...
Can I answer his question first? Because you're good at answering questions. Go on.
Well, look, I mean, we're getting all sorts of facts and figures bandied around. You get one economist coming out saying one thing and then someone else saying the alternative. On the security issue, you have the ex-head of MI6 saying that we'd be more secure if we were out, others saying the opposite. And this is going to go on until the day, and it's going to be for you guys to then make that decision whether you want Britain to be stuck with inside the slowest economic
but what do you say to his point, which is that he says that this is a disreputable campaign in which people are just attacking each other exactly the way you've just described, experts from either side saying opposite things. How do you restore confidence?
Well, to be honest with you, I want to get away from the personalities in this campaign, and I want to campaign on the real facts and the real figures. Now, I'll give you one. It is costing us £55 million every single day to be members of the European Union. Hold on, that's the gross figure. That's the gross figure. Hold on, OK? Then we get the rebate back, and then they give us a proportion of money back, and then they tell us how to spend our own money. So if you walk around Wolverhampton, or if you walk around Birmingham, you will see signs up saying, thank the European Union, this project was built with EU money. There is no such thing as EU money. It's your money, it's your taxation, and that money should stay here in our country, spent on our schools, our hospitals, and on our transport network.
Yes.
What I'd like to know is, what is the economic cost of a disenfranchised population, as expressed by the chap at the front there? We're losing interest in Europe. We've got no influence over it. That's going to have an economic cost down the line.
No, Paul, hang on. Yvette Cooper, would you like to answer him?
Yeah, so say that question again.
Make the point again, could you?
What's the economic cost of having a disenfranchised population? Yeah. The man expressed it very well at the front.
Yeah, I think that people are, feeling quite alienated from this whole debate and from everything that's being thrown around to and fro. So, look, if you go through the facts, I mean, Paul did go further than a lot of the Leave campaigners by conceding that actually the figure that they use, this £350 million they've got splattered all over the blunderbuss, is actually wrong.
No,
and the Statistics Authority has said it's misleading and dodgy to use it. Yeah, there is a contribution, and in return, what we get is access to the single market, and that makes it so much easier for our businesses to trade. And what you get on the other side is different estimates, and they are estimates by economists based on a whole load of evidence and analysis about what it would cost if we pull out of the single market and how much trade we will lose.
Is this right? Is this right, what it says here? On the Remain side, for every pound we put in, we get almost £10 back.
Yeah, it's an estimate that's done by economists of
do you believe it? You say things that...
Yeah, it's one of the estimates.
You were Chief Secretary of the Treasury under a Labour government. Do you think they've got it right, or is it wrong?
I'll say it's right.
I think it's as accurate. I think it's as accurate as any other. But there is no way to point, because actually the honest truth is that nobody knows. Yeah, but nobody knows until you know what the trade deal is. That is done.
So why put it in if nobody knows?
Because you have to make a judgment. Yeah, you have to give. People want facts, and so we do our best to give people facts. But ultimately, it's a judgment. People mind.
You don't say it's a judgment here. You say get out more.
But the bottom line, there is a bottom line. These are the facts that I believe to be true, but Paul believes different facts on this element. But I think there is one bottom line.
Can I answer?
There is one bottom line.
Can I answer his question? Because I think your question was, what is the economic cost of a disenfranchised population? And I think we who are involved in public life should take that question seriously. I want to save the steel industry. When I drive past Port Talbot Steelworks, it is a brilliant bit of structural asset for this country. Okay? The European Union rules say we can't. That's basically what it says. And in addition, the European Commission itself has refused to fight for the whole European steel industry in the world market. If I could deselect the European Commission, believe me, I would. I've had a lot of interaction with that body, and if we could elect it and bring it under democratic control, it would be brilliant. But the very treaty on which the European Union is founded prevents us doing so. And it prevents a future Labour government from saving steel, it prevents a future Labour government from nationalising the railways, and this, to me, is the bread and butter of why we have to look critically of the European Union.
And you're
if we
still going to
can't-
vote Remain?
Well, no, I didn't say I was going to vote Remain. I'm saying that the economic case for Brexit is strong, as is the political, but we don't need to be, the left Brexit people do not need to be dictated to by a Tory right cabal when and under what conditions we do so.
OK, I'm going back to Yvette Cooper, because she was halfway through what she was